opioid use a long time ago was completely at the discretion of the physicians. This goes back to the early 1900s. Then some laws came around that restricted those medications. Up into the 70s and 80s, then we were kind of in a situation where things were very restrictive. But then about that same time, major pain organizations determined that we're under addressing pain. So they made pain something that was very important. They made it the fifth vital sign, so that every time somebody's in a hospital, they get asked if they're in pain. And if they're in pain, then they got something for that pain. So part of it was clinically, is what we were trying to do a better job treating pain. Unfortunately, we often use a pendulum swinging as the analogy. Unfortunately, I think the pendulum swung too far to getting medications for pain. And then now we're in a more restrictive phase. Prescribers have been, again, kind of liberal with giving medications out. We can't forget the impact of the pharmaceutical companies and their marketing of their own products. And there's a new study that came out recently that speaks to kind of a generalized, I guess almost a nationwide mental health concern, that why are people turning to opioids when it's not really true physical pain that they're trying to treat, but they're trying to treat something else. And I can't really comment much further on that, but there is definitely a mental health or attitude issue that goes along with why we have an opioid overuse at this point. I think the other part about what can pharmacists do is really doing a much better job of counseling patients about the opioid prescriptions that they're receiving. I would guess that many patients aren't even completely sure that they're on an opioid. The names are not necessarily clear that, this is an opioid medication. You might become tolerant to this medication. You might become dependent upon this medication. It might be difficult to stop taking this medication. It has serious side effects, such as respiratory depression and respiratory arrest, stopping breathing. So if we are clear with patients about these are very dangerous yet effective medications, and again, we don't want to scare people away from using them in a legitimate situation, but we also want them to have that appropriate respect that these are potentially dangerous medications as well, and they need to be handled as such. And that handling goes down to securing them in your own house, making sure they don't get taken out of your house by guests or friends. Don't share them with anyone. Make sure when you dispose of them, they dispose of them correctly so that nobody else can either purposely or accidentally ingest them. So there's a number of things that we can do when we dispense the medications that I think will help society understand how dangerous these drugs might be, and have an appropriate respect for them.